One of the things that business owners forget a lot is to prepare for their own retirement.
Hi, my name's Nick Palavita, and today I'm with a very special guest, a certified financial planner, a chartered retirement plan specialist, and president of National Pension Partners, Max Culiet. Max, tell me what you do at National Pension Partners.
Well, Nick, we help successful small businesses and professionals put together retirement plans that provide them the maximum retirement benefits and big tax deductions at the same time.
Well, how do you do this?
Well, we get on an internet conferencing system with the client. We review their goals, what they want to accomplish, and then put together strategies to help them in implementing a retirement plan that benefits them, not everybody else.
Well, that sounds really good, but how much does this cost?
Well, it's really not bad because the first consultation is free. That allows us to go through and discover whether this strategy works for that business and for you as the business owner and helping you maximize your retirement.
Well, Max, how do we get this free appointment?
It's really pretty simple, Nick. You can either go to our website below or call us at 877-252-1692, and then we can set up a time with either myself, Nick, or one of our other retirement plan specialists, another CPA or advisor in the office to go over this with you and make sure it fits for you.
Hi, my name is Lewis Haupt. I work with National Pension Partners, and I work with businesses to allow them to put the maximum away that they can for themselves and to save taxes.
Hi, I'm Brad Coyle, and I'm the brokerage manager at National Pension Partners. We're always analyzing plan fund choices in order to ensure the participant's success.
If you want more information on how we can help you and your business put more money away in a retirement plan than you ever thought possible, contact us at the website below or call us at 877-252-1692.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Economics with the Honorable David M. Walker. David will not be here today because he's on a flight, and we're going to be discussing presidential powers. And to discuss it with the powers that be, we're going to bring in Sasha Starr. If I can bring him in. I had a computer upgrade, which means nothing's working. Just typical when they do an upgrade. Then it doesn't work very well. So, just a minute. Bring in Sasha. Come on, upgrade. I like it when I fix when somebody comes fix my computer. When I fixes that doesn't work.
It looks like you have a partial upgrade. So
In
certain
our
functions were upgraded, but certain probably not. Well, I don't know who is listening to us at this point in time. You want to talk about the presidential powers. Wow. It's a very, very ambitious project. And now you're talking about usual presidential powers or those that belong to Donald Trump. They are very, very specific, special, and unusual powers. And in fact, he's trying to grab as many powers as possible. The fight is still going on. Some of it is going to Supreme Court, some of it is not, and I think, seems to me that everybody is waiting until next presidential election, or at least midterm election, where if the Democrats would be able to have control of at least one of the either the House or majority or maybe Senate or probably both, that could change a picture quite a bit. But before that would happen, I don't expect any major changes. Even if his rating will go down to 20% or even 10% or even 5%, how does it affect his powers? I really don't know. I'd like to, anybody who is more familiar with the situation or has better knowledge of the situation would address that if there is anybody who is able to do it. So far, I don't see anybody except myself. Okay. So if that's my obligation, let's put it this way, to continue, I would like to talk about the situation in Europe, what's happening right now. There is negotiations between American side on one, headed by, what's his name, Witkoff, Kushner, other people perhaps, and European leaders, and Zelensky on the other side. The main wrangling is going now about, as you would expect, territory. So Americans are pressuring Ukraine to give up the territory in Donbass, which Russians do not control. It's controlled by Ukrainians. But Americans, sometimes you just keep talking, and maybe just one day will be a lucky one. But Ukrainians say, oh, what the hell with the territory? You want this territory? Hell, this is yours. And this is yours, and Kyiv is yours, and everything is yours. Just leave us alone. Is that such a day will happening? I don't think so. And there's nothing that would indicate that any of that would ever happen. So in this case, anything to do with presidential powers, who appoints real estate people to run international politics for the United States, well, that's another proof of unlimited presidential power there. And it's going on, and mind you, I think American already get used to it and probably don't care anymore about it. That's my opinion. Jitovi, what do you think? Dr. Sharif?
Yeah, thank you. This is very interesting discussions. Can you hear me,
Yeah.
Sasha?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you discuss about the politics and the presidential power, I want to bring some interesting views from my point of view. If you focus on the politics, and even though politics in global north and Europe and Bangladesh or South Asia, you can find that basically a country like USA, those who have a huge economical impact, military impact, cultural impact, and geopolitical impact, I want to say that their president has a system, and he has a lot of authority. So if you focus on this presidential or semi-presidential system, president has major economic power that influence national development, finance, and specifically the policy development, which is very important for me. So how I want to define or identify different kind of powers. I want to say the budgetary powers, fiscal policy influence, monetary and financial authority, control over economic institutions like finance, plan, trade, and commerce, definitely trade and investment power, which is very, very important, emergency economic power, economic crisis, inflations, and natural disaster level powers, privatization or public sector decisions, veto and approval power. So what I see specifically that Donald Trump, he is heavily utilizing his capacity. This is very interesting because previously, honestly speaking, as I am from emerging economy, many emerging economy people, let's say I am a normal people, I'm a normal citizen, I'm a simple professor. I do not have the clear picture what USA can do. Some point we see Iraq war, Afghan war, whatever it is. But this time we have clear pictures how a presidentials can take different kind of decisions, different kind of authority, and they can impose. And definitely I want to give thanks to Pot TV because Pot TV also bring different guests like Honorable David Walkers, and he explained a lot about economical activities and other things. But definitely you have your senators, you have your decision maker, they may understand how to manage this power and impose and everything. But this is very interesting topic for me. Thank you, Nick Palveda, to bring this topic. Yeah.
Everybody's quiet.
Why?
Well, I'm quiet because I had my computer guy come by to fix my internet system.
Yeah,
okay.
Nick,
And this happens a lot. They come in, they do, and then it works, and then they leave. And I'm just going like, they don't test the system. Of course, it's an outside vendor. If it's an inside vendor, they would have stayed around to make sure all the systems work. But outside vendors, they come and they do, and so then my computer's completely acting up today. So anyway, yeah, our discussion today is presidential powers, and I'm just curious because I don't know much about Bangladesh, and you were on earlier, Sharif. Do you have a prime minister or a president, and do they have broad powers, or do they have to go to a legislative body? How does it work over there?
Yeah, if you see Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, we basically empower all of the decisions and everything's under prime minister. We have president. Let's say right now we have president, but it's ornamental. Constitution required a president. We are not like USA, like the presidential model. But you know, right now we have a massive change of our political institutions and constitutional issues and everything. We have elections next February 12th. And Nick, many of the political people like your economic shows in Bangladesh, those who are planning to come to the power. And they want to organize a real conference, and they want to invite you in Bangladesh, maybe in Dhaka University, and all of our friends. So Bangladesh economic political system definitely under the power of prime minister. Prime minister has all of the power and everything. That is the things we are changing our constitutions and everything's planning to restructure all of the institutions because too much of power actually deploy all of the things. Let's say previously last 16-17 years we are under fascist, and we don't have any democracy, even though in the geopolitical issues India support the previous prime ministers. Right now she ran away and she live in India and she's doing all of the wrong things. So I just want to add that this is very interesting political situation for Bangladesh. USA is a very good friend in this present situation, very, very good friend, because our Prime Minister, like Chief Advisor, Dr. Muhammad Yunus is a very good ally for USA. So USA have cultural influence. I always say, especially for democratic system and evolutions. And how I see USA has close contribution for Bangladesh economy and politics. So this will be very, very interesting coming February elections. And I'm very much serious because many political institutions and political party, those who want to form government in Bangladesh, they want to invite Sasha Chatovi, definitely Nick Palveda as a keynote speaker. And if David Walker want to visit Bangladesh, it may be a cultural and understanding and collaborations and in between US and Bangladesh. And I have many political peoples, those who supporting World Talent Economic Forum, not only just coming to the podcast. We are developing urban planning, and hopefully the next Prime Minister will work with us. So it will be very, very interesting if we can collaborate and work. It will be real game changer. You can contribute. Yeah. Nick, I have a question for you because you always ask.
But Canada, Sasha Starr, what about Canada? Do you have a prime minister, or how does it work over there?
We have a prime minister, and we have three parties, with two major parties. The third one, New Democratic Party, has no chance ever to hold the necessary majority of votes to form the government. So this is out of question, and it's always been that way and will be there for probably another 755 years. So you might as well ignore it, except that in provincial elections, sometimes they can hold some majority, they always lose it very quickly, even if they win election in provincial elections. Like sometimes in British Columbia, for example, they would lose it in next 2-3 years for sure. So it's not going to last much longer. So you might as well ignore all the issue, except that they do support almost 100% of the time liberals, which makes extremely difficult for progressive conservatives ever to form the government. So the last brilliant Canadian prime minister was a progressive conservative, and unfortunately he lost elections. And particularly there was nothing to put him at fault of anything, except that people just got tired of him. That's all. That's why progressive conservatives lost election several years
Okay,
ago.
we'll go to.
Can't get it back.
Yeah, Nick, you have a.
Okay, we go to Jatovi and see what his thoughts are on presidential power, especially relating to executive orders and tariffs and immigration by the current president. What your thoughts are, Jatovi?
So you're trying to start a fight on that one. I mean, it's all garbage what he's doing. He's overusing the presidential power, using the executive order.
I'm asking.
I mean, again, as an honest answer, yeah, it's all garbage what he's doing. His executive orders, he's overused them. He's used more executive orders than I think all the presidents combined before him. I know he's pardoned more people than all the presidents combined before him. So he's ruling as an authoritarian and a king, rather than actually going through Congress, because Congress is run by all the Republicans and they all bow down to him. So they've abdicated the power to the president. The tariffs are, I mean, how he's utilized the tariffs, it's ridiculous because it's actually jacked up prices and costs on everybody. Hence the reason why he's trying to take the tariffs off. He knows it. It is a tax on lower, especially on lower to middle income, because it's basically a consumption tax. So the tariffs are pretty bad. And that all deals with his executive power, and he's trying to push the limits of his executive powers and testing the boundaries. Because again, he doesn't want to be questioned. He doesn't want to be ever told no. Hence the reason why he does so many bad things, because he doesn't really know how the system works. And he's extremely transactional, as we've talked about multiple times. So anybody who pays him anything, they can get whatever they want. The ballroom is a prime example of that right now. The people who have invested money into the ballroom, well, they all got tax cuts. So the little bitty millions and few $1 million that they may have invested, they're getting billions of dollars in tax cuts. So what he's doing is bad all around.
Yeah. I have a question for Jetovi. Like, if you ask me the same questions, I can give the answer. Like, is it that US gives too much of power to US president? Like your constitutions, your institution give too much of power to US?
So essentially, it was supposed to be the three branches of government. You got your executive, judicial, and your you've got your three branches of government. So your Congress is supposed to handle the purse strings and be the voice for everybody. You've got your executive that's making that decision of, okay, I hear from everybody. We're going to make a decision that's going to be best for everybody. Essentially, where Congress passes laws go, or the president signs off on the laws, the judicial branch comes in behind saying, okay, is this law legal? Is this law based on the Constitution? So you have all three branches, which are supposed to be a check on each other. But the problem is, because of essentially all three branches are run by one party right now. And that one party has abdicated its power to the decision maker in the executive branch. So Congress no longer has power because it's given its power to the presidency. The way it was essentially written is that spreading of power, so it's not so it is centralized government, but it's not so top heavy to where only one person's making decisions. So yes, right, and it's been shifting that way slowly, because there have been problems with past and prior presidents where they've tried to pull more power. But we're finally in a situation where one person makes the decisions across the government right now. This is what he has essentially said and praised China for, because he even stated that, hey, look, I like China. When China's all united behind whatever she says, because whatever he makes the decisions, and once he makes the decision, everybody goes. And so he's talking about an authoritarian setup is what he wants, and that's what essentially he has, because Congress isn't checking him on these things, which they should be. Congress, the Supreme Court has given him immunity, essentially, to break whatever law that he wants to, and there's no check again. So we're having a lot of problems due to the fact that we have a bad businessman at the top of the government trying to make financial decisions when this man bankrupted casinos. Do you guys know how hard it is to bankrupt a casino?
It's hard to bankrupt the casino. Hey, Toby, along those same lines, is part of the problem that he is also, and I know we might get on this on the next show that we've got here on the network, but he has also muted the Fourth Estate, because the Fourth Estate is supposed to be journalism and all along those lines. So that is what I'm finding part of the problem, is that he has a lot of people that are in his camp in the Fourth Estate and all along those lines, and those that are not in his camp, he has found ways to mute them and everything. So the other check is supposed to be the press, and the press is being muted in some ways by his presidential powers and some of his crazy executive orders, even surrounding the media.
Yes, it's the old, hate to make because it's an old analogy, but it fits. What was it, Joseph Goebbels? You control the narrative, you repeat the lie louder as many times, and people begin to believe it. So he wants to control the narrative. he basically is shutting down the press. I mean, he has brought out lawsuits on many areas of the press, and so he's quieted certain particular areas. Why do you think the big push from Paramount to buy CNN is happening? Jared Kushner and his Saudi backers. So you got the Trump family and the Saudi backers are trying to buy CNN. Why? Because then you can control what CNN puts out. CNN will then shut down, and matter of fact, there has been reporting that they have told CNN to back off reporting on Trump and coverage of that. So yes, you control the media. You also, what do authoritarians do when they want to control the narrative across the nation? You control the education. Turning Point USA and the state of Texas are supposed to be putting Turning Point USA classes into high schools or into schools. That is the indoctrination that people were supposedly complaining about. So when they made all these statements and repetitively made them to their followers, to the MAGA and the people that voted for Trump, that was training. So now they're doing it. And then what does MAGA say? Hey, it's okay. We can do that. That's what happened before. It never did. But hey, that belief was already there because they've already trained them that that was there. So it's he's suppressing the media. He's suppressing multiple educational outlets and stuff like that. It's just he actually wants to fire he wants to kill the mandate on ASL because he can't control, and he feels that he's not able to control the narrative with American Sign Language. That's how manipulative this individual is. He already went after the Hispanic interpreters and all this other. It's just obvious, but people are not going because he's trained his group. His group is going to back him.
I would like to put some light on what you just discussed. How difficult is a bankrupt casinos. Not from Donald Trump, not from Donald Trump at all. And apparently I've read about it in a book by David K. Johnson. And he's saying this is how easy it is to do. If you've ever been in casino, you know when you're playing a table game, let's say blackjack, okay? So you give, say, $500 to a dealer. Dealer checks them and put in the right side of him, there is a little bit like a box where he puts it down. So by the end of the day, there is an enormous amount of cash in that little box. But if Trump would go at night when casino is closed, so he would go there and check all the boxes and grab all the cash. This is obvious criminal activity, and he would be in jail for very quickly. But the way to appropriate that cash is different. What he is doing is he's sending his people to check the boxes, get all the cash, and account for it and do so, and just keep it for a while. At the same time, Trump arranges huge loans from the bank based on its cash flow, based on the great business. So the banks are giving him loans. We're talking about some billions of dollars. So the billions of dollars are now coming to casino. So Trump now can pay big bonuses to himself, people in charge of the casino, and so on. And when there is a time, start making payments on these loans. Wow, there is not enough money to do it because all the cash from the stables is gone every night. So, oh my God, what's happening? If we don't have money to pay, give us extension. Oh, well, okay, so here's extension. Extension is passed by. We still don't have the money, so you have to declare bankruptcy then. Okay, so we will declare bankruptcy. This is how you can bankrupt a casino. It's not too difficult.
I mean, it's just wild, and it's funny when we discuss things about them And this is why, I'll get agitated sometimes because we can be honest about it. We can, yes, we can be honest we have to be honest and point out these things. And this is an economic show. We'll stay on the economic topic. For example, a lot of the reasons skyrocketing, but we also got to realize that everything ties together. For example, the healthcare costs are going up because of the lack of inaction on the healthcare industry, healthcare fund, or the healthcare industry. For example, one of the things that the talking points that Trump and the Republican Party are putting out there is how the Affordable Care Act isn't affordable and blah, 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 blah. The ACA or the Obamacare isn't affordable, blah, blah, blah. Well, Obamacare initially was supposed to be a single payer system to help out or create a public option, but that got voted down. It was trying to push closer towards a single payer system because finally Bernie Sanders got his foot in the door and people started listening. But now we should listen to Bernie Sanders even more around that single payer system, because everywhere across the globe has a single payer system and has figured it out. We're the richest country in the nation or in the world, but we cannot figure out a way to do single payer and help the people in need. We don't even have the most people in the nation, but we still can't figure out a single payer system. Either way, so Obamacare or the ACA, when it was first created, was supposed to have a public option, but that got voted down. But then when it moved forward, it was a stepping stone. It did cut the curve. It did slow the curve of the increasing medical costs, but it did not address the issue around the increasing medical costs. So creating a pool was one thing, but the increasing cost was a different story. And that healthcare stepping stone never got worked on. Why? Because it became a political talking point. And once it hits politics, it forgets about the people that it serves. It forgets about, hey, look, let's try and help each other. There should be for the betterment of the populace. Let's add this. Let's adjust the ACA because it actually has helped with the cost cutting curve, or it helped with the curve of the exploding costs, because costs have been exploding for decades. But it helped with the curve of the exploding costs. But let's actually fix those costs so we can actually stop that curve from skyrocketing. But no, it got politics and, hey, look, we're not going to do this. It took 40 years before we did anything on healthcare in the first place, but now, or really anything major on healthcare. And now we're doing it. We've got to wait another probably 40 years before we do anything else. But again, it didn't address what people wanted to complain about. Well, it addressed the being denied service for ridiculous things like a hangnail or something crazy. So insurance companies have to pay for it. So, now it should be a matter of fixing the ACA, because what they're talking about doing now with the Republican Party, who is in charge, and this goes back to Dr. Sharif, the top down, Donald Trump doesn't want to do it. So when we were in the government shutdown, the main reason it stayed longer is because Donald Trump didn't want to do anything. He doesn't want Democrats to have a win, because that's a political talking point. That means he loses power in his mind. Rather than for the betterment of society, he's a transactional guy. He doesn't care about anybody else but his power and him being in power. The Republican Party, because a lot of people wanted to keep their power, walked along, and so they abdicated that power. So instead of improvement, they didn't improve. So now we're at a point where you have to have something in line, or costs are going to really skyrocket. And instead of during that government shutdown, them negotiating and making something happen, or just extending it and making something change, now we're at a point where they're going to try and suggest, hey, we're going to create bank accounts. We're going to make a bank account and throw money in that bank account. That doesn't work. It doesn't work at all, because the problem comes into play.
That doesn't work.
Huh?
Yeah, but it doesn't work at all and everything. But just really quickly, he also doesn't even believe in his own family. Because I know one of the things we talk about on this show is this notion of him being a king. And usually a king is like a monarchy, that the family is continue to be the next leadership and everything, meaning that it would be descending from like Donald Trump to Don Jr. But one of those recent comments that I mentioned on World Edition that he said that was catching people off guard was he said that because I guess he's thinking about his own mortality, that guys, he doesn't expect that his son Don Jr. will be at the funeral. He thinks that he'll be off at a boat somewhere enjoying his life and everything like that. So he made that comment. So I guess he's not feeling too loved by his own family, maybe not even by Byron, who is, I think, being separated now that he's in college, and his own wife, meaning the President Trump's wife, is probably trying to keep him away from politics and everything like that. So what is our take on this notion? And maybe he is afraid that he is not even having a family that is on his side as well, because that's one of the comments he made over this weekend was that when he passes, Don Jr. will probably be nowhere near the funeral.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the question. I just got a text on this convention thing. I started focusing on that. What was the question
problem.
again?
I'm just asking because apparently he's feeling disenfranchised even from his own family and everything. Because he made one of his comments that he made this weekend was that he does not expect John Jr. will be at his funeral. I guess he's thinking about his own mortality and some of these health issues that he's having and everything along those lines. So that was one of those crazy quotes that he made this weekend was that he didn't expect Don Jr. would be there.
You gotta keep feeding the beast. You gotta keep feeding MAGA.
So I think feeling like disenfranchised from his own family.
No, you gotta keep feeding MAGA. That's what it is. The way that if I told you something sad, are you gonna forget all the bad that's going on in your life right now? If I told you something to make you mad, are you gonna forget all the other stuff that's going on? So it's just another manipulative way to talk about something crazy. He's got the Epstein files. He's got the inflation that's ticking up and ticking up. He's got the economy that's going bad. All the stuff. I don't think that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I just want to ask Jatavi, as you have a lot of complaint about U.S. president, so do you plan, even I know your answer, but I ask again, that do you have plan to engage with politics to fix this problem? If you ask me, I can give the answer to you. I'm open for this discussion.
So for me, to yes and no. So as you know, working on trying to get a convention, things that happen in the community to improve individuals' lives, trying to help out anybody possible that I can, and use the connections that I have with different politicians that I know personally, to suggest particular things and hopefully use my voice as a platform for those who may not have that opportunity to speak, from those in the trans community. I will speak out for them as much as I can, because I know a lot of people don't listen and a lot of people try and propagate some very bad things. So I will speak to those politicians and those individuals that make decisions for that community if I can make a difference. Same thing with the African-American community, a community I'm part of, speaking out to make changes and make things that reach out and actually take the knowledge that I grasp from different business leaders, different areas, to speak with the different activists that I may know or different individuals that I may know, to be that gap, that bridge, because there are different things that there are different ways of talking to those in business, to those in the community. They speak and visualize things in a completely different world. So I'll use my platform to whatever I have to make that connection and make that difference. So yes, in a sense, I mean, I have thought about running and getting into politics that way, but if it happens, I've still got time to make it happen. But right now, because I'm not in that position, I'm just utilizing what I have and the connections that I have to, yes, do as you say, make a difference in a positive light in the way that I can.
Very interesting. So when you decide, let's say I think that you will join in the politics in the future, maybe not now, maybe after 2 years or something. So do you decide like why you want to join in the politics? To fix any challenges or anything? Let's say if you ask me, my answer, definitely I want to create opportunity for youth. I want to create make a better life for these talent people in my community. So what's your thought?
So for me, this is why we have a lot of synergy, is because of that. I have that same viewpoint. One of the things that got me started doing and putting a lot of these things together in the community is because seeing the evolution of the city that I grew up in change, becoming more affluent. However, it's getting the individuals that are here getting left in the wind. They're missing, they're not being a part of they're not having the opportunities that they should, and those opportunities are given elsewhere. And not only that, but also because the discussions of gentrification, which are happening. I mean, it is legitimately happening, but there's an issue there that can be resolved and a way to resolve it, but it's not being looked at because it is in a sense, but it also isn't, because you have two communities speaking past each other and not to each other, and not thinking of ways to make things go in a particular way to fight that. For me, I want to be, again, that bridge. But one of the ways that I want to be that bridge, because my thought is that the only way to fight gentrification is through education. And the best way to do, if you can educate a society or educate a group to make them understand how much they're worth, then somebody can't come in and push you out and make changes without you, because you understand the neighborhood, you understand the community a lot better, you understand what's going on, and they should utilize you as a resource and not just, hey, look, this is a problem, we've got to move it. So there's a lot of bridge building and ways that I want to make change, because I think that there are things that we can do, we can improve on. And that is something that can travel from place to place, because I think a lot of the smaller communities are on the precipice, or a lot of the smaller cities are on the precipice of deciding if they're going to be a big city or a small city, because more people are moving in, more people are having babies, the population is only growing, and there's something has to address that at this moment. And if you don't address it at this moment and plan ahead and think about the youth of where they're going to be in 10, 15 years, then we're going to be stuck behind and struggling.
Yeah, Sasha, when we discuss about presidential power or president power, what's your thought? How we can define this word power, or how you want to analyze these things or define these things?
Well, as it applicable to the United States, there is a system of separation of three powers: presidential, Congress, and judiciary. It seems to me that right now all three powers are being run by the same Republican Party, and a Republican Party in turn is run by Donald Trump. So therefore, Donald Trump simultaneously running all three chapters of U.S. government, which is presidency, the Congress, and judiciary. In this situation, I don't see anything will change rather than election of a presidential election, and not only in 2028. And if Democrats will be able to prevail and win this election, then there could be a different distribution of power. If not, it will be the same or even worse. And maybe midterm election next year could provide some clarity of what's happening with the all presidential and not only presidential powers in the United States.
Yeah, understand. Mark, what's your thoughts about this presidential powers or president power? So, are you with me, Mark?
Mark might be frozen.
Okay. Now,
Oh, he
this is
disappeared.
yeah. I think this is the interesting things maybe change in the next decade. Do you think that if artificial intelligence come as a uh, assistant for president, so it will be changed to make decisions when the president will take decisions, he will be more liberal, or he has more analysis compared to man, or what's your thoughts? AI can be a good partner for US president?
So, I think due to the fact, the problem with AI, you know it as well as I do. AI is basing its information on what's put into it and what sources it's grabbing from. So just like when you get a summary from a book, if you ask, what are your views on war, and you get the summary, you read the summary of Mein Kampf compared to the summary of of any other book, you're going to get a different perspective. And Mein Kampf, of course, you're going to get a very disturbing perspective about it. But again, so if AI is pulling from one book, it's not going to give the great analysis that you may want. The AI, this is why all the movies create AI and AI becomes self-destructive. And honestly, it already does that already. It's because it lacks that human compassion and that nuanced understanding. It hasn't gotten to a AGI or the general AI or a singularity point where it can think for itself. Technically, it can think for itself right now, but that's not set up yet. That's just all in programming. But either way, it's not set up to a point where it can give you that valid analysis when dealing with people and emotions and the nuances that are there. So if a president were to use AI as it's his own VP or her own VP, that would be a bad thing, because it wouldn't give you a true analysis of a situation that deals with a lot of nuances that AI hasn't had the input or the data set for. So yeah, I don't think it could help at this moment.
Yeah, just really quickly, Jacoby, along those same lines, AI wouldn't understand the nuances, even to what you were talking about earlier with like gentrification and things along those lines. So I don't know that AI would understand. I'll just give an example. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of meeting a teacher from one of our local high schools here in Durham and everything like that. And when I was talking to her, she was talking about what she was going through in terms of where she had to live because of the economics of what was going on. So she's not able to live in our beloved city because the cost of apartments have gone up in this particular area. Not quite New York prices, but we're getting there in some areas and all along those lines. So she's having to live in closer to Alamance, and she was saying one of her coworkers lived in Henderson, which is about, as you know, an hour from here and everything like that. So I don't know that AI would understand those kind of nuances of why she was complaining about those economic realities. And those are economic realities that will cause her, possibly her friend might not even take a job next year or next school year and everything, because that's a long commute to do for 180, 200 days of the year, how many days teachers wind up working and everything like that. But definitely it's a reality that AI would probably not understand. Just like my complaint with AI, even though we use it on standardized testing, is that it may not understand a kid from the Bronx the same way it would understand a kid from Kansas City, Kansas. They've got different realities and everything like that. So there are some questions that everybody should know the answer to that are universal answers, but there are also questions that take a personal, nuanced approach that you may not understand unless you understand the various regions. Like, I don't understand everything about Sharif's life or even Sasha's life because they are in different parts of the world, and I haven't had the pleasure of being in those parts of the world yet to be with them to see how they live their lives. I mean, I've learned a lot about both of these individuals from this show, but it's different when you actually have a greater understanding and a greater human understanding.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's a context that AI does not have the ability to gain right now.
Right.
But I'm more interested, like about USA and Canada, definitely. Like here in Bangladesh, youth are very interested to engage with politics, and they are doing these things, and many people sacrificing their life. What about USA and Canada? Like, youth has interest, or they just build up the company and their careers, and they do not like politics?
I mean, I'll take that just really quickly. The youth are very engaged in this community. I know that Toby knows quite a few activists, as I do, and many of them are in their early teens and their 20s. There are some people, including some folks that have applied on this network, that maybe they're being paid, but I find them to be actually very enthralled by what they are engaged in, and actually engaged in those fights, whether that's around LGBT rights, whether that's around trans rights, whether that's around immigration rights, whether that's around a number of other rights that they have a direct interest in. So I would say that the youth movement is not just a movement in Bangladesh and a movement in England, but it's also a movement here as well, because there are a number of youth engaged in activities right here in Durham, North Carolina, that are in leadership positions.
Yeah, no, very, very interesting. So let's say how this institutional model work. Like, I know there are a lot of think tank in USA. There are a lot of research center, political research center in USA. How does they work? How they can contribute, or how they can engage with the different kind of youth activities or political.
Part of the problem is that the think tanks. I'm sorry. Part of the problem is that the think tanks are sometimes have their own agenda, and sometimes they are trying to engage the youth in those activities and everything. There are some people that will say that I'm not a fan of them, but the Turning Point USA may have some youth behind them because they have got them indoctrinated into their ways and everything like that. So think tanks, there are some think tanks that are agenda driven, and they are agenda driven by either the right or the left and everything like that. I am a bigger fan of intellectual think tanks that are less politically biased, and there are some of those as well, but definitely there are a lot of think tanks that are politically biased.
Very interesting. So Sasha, what about Canada? Like, Canada is a very good country for democracy, and how does it work? Maybe it will be meaningful for our country.
Well, I wish I could tell you something that would benefit you and your listeners. Canadian population is very down to earth, very cynical, very much protective of their way of life, of their traditions. And for young people in Canada is just as difficult time to get ahead as in the United States and probably many other countries. It's first of all, finding the jobs is a very old cliche, but it's today is even more horrified experience for young people, even those with education, those that have high quality diplomas, desirable diplomas at that point. Most of them cannot find the jobs. If you don't have the jobs, then you're out of housing market. If you're out of housing markets, then your way of life, your ability to create a family, have children, it's all deteriorates very rapidly. And it's now probably worse time for younger people in Canada than in its history, perhaps. I don't remember 50 years ago, 25 years ago, 10 years ago, it was such a terrible situation as it is now. So, again, probably situation is, of course, very different, Dr. Sharif, in your country and many Asian countries. I would definitely agree with that. Situation, let's leave alone United States, but in Canada, situation is very, very grim.
Hey, Sasha, just really quickly, because like I said, I ran into that teacher and she was complaining that she's not making enough money. And I know even on this network, Nick has said that if you're not making enough money, just don't go into those professions. But we know we need teachers in every realm of the world and everything. How much are the teachers being paid well in Canada? I mean, I've got relatives in Canada like Jacoby does, but I don't know enough about. I don't think any of them are in the teaching profession, so I don't know if you have any idea as to whether teachers are suffering from the same kind of low pay that teachers are getting here in the United States.
I don't think that their pay is low. No, it's not. It's probably an average, I would say. However, there are a lot of benefits that other professions don't enjoy. So in Canada, they have job security, they have paid holidays, they have development days, they have job stability. So they have a lot of pluses that maybe they're not purely monetary conditions, but very important for people to choose this profession. Even today, a lot of young people actually trying to establish themselves in teaching professions. And in most cases, probably they don't enjoy it so much, but it provides job security and many other benefits, so they're going for it. And you cannot criticize these people for doing that.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Very interesting. So just from my side, like I just want to share that next week I work with one of the universities called Paris Graduate School. We have our own publishers for scientific papers. Many PhD students come there and they do their research. So I do focus on leadership development. How the different culture, let's say today I understand about USA, I understand about Canada. So leadership related activities work around the world. Maybe we can do some high quality papers and we understand what's going on through our academic initiative. So hopefully we can join together and do some real academic work, and it can give us some guideline how we can develop better institutions for leadership development. I'm also working with USA, California Institute of Management, and St. Edward University, and they have a think tank. It's called Tando. Tando also working, think and do tank, working with World Talent Economic Forum institutions. We are also launching these leadership programs with the collaboration of Japan, definitely in South Asia. South Asia, we develop Center of Excellence. So hopefully we can make a meaningful contributions, because if we go for some real paperwork and real training and innovations, and definitely I'm a big fan of wisdom, human wisdom, definitely artificial intelligence is part of these things, and we can bring more progress through this process.
Sounds good. On that note, we're going to wrap up everything here, and we've got to get to the media show, which I think is going on as well. But we're going to wrap up here on Economics Monday and everything like that. And hopefully we'll see David next week. I know he was out on this particular one, but I know that Nick still wanted to go ahead and have the economic show. But let's go ahead and get to media and some of the other shows on the network. And I'll see you gentlemen maybe over there, and definitely on World Edition. And I know I'll see Sasha and his gang on the Ukraine, Russia, and China on tomorrow, and everything like that, as we continue seeing what's going on in that space. So right now, let's get on out of here, and we'll see y'all on later on other shows as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.